Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we bring you an in-depth look at a story that has taken the global stage by surprise. The news that Putin faces shocking blow, young Koreans reject fighting for Russia, Jong Un Stunned, has sent waves across political circles, military analysts, and ordinary people following the war in Ukraine. This development is more than just a headline. It shows a shift in the mindset of a new generation that is refusing to be drawn into conflicts that are far from their homeland. It challenges the traditional power structures that relied on unwavering loyalty and highlights how the choices of ordinary young people can influence the course of global events. This story unfolds not only as a political setback for Russia but also as a sign of changing values that prioritize peace, personal security, and a rejection of unnecessary violence. On the surface, this move by young Koreans reveals a striking exterior dimension. For months, Russia and North Korea seem to be strengthening ties, building a narrative of partnership in the face of international pressure. The expectation from the Russian side was clear. They believed that North Korean youth, loyal to their leadership, would heed the call to support Russia in its ongoing war effort. The exterior, therefore, presented a united alliance that was supposed to project strength. Yet as the situation unfolded, the outer image of this alliance began to crack. Instead of joining forces, the youth expressed their unwillingness to participate, surprising both Moscow and Pyongyang. This visible resistance became a powerful signal to the rest of the world that unity within alliances cannot be taken for granted when the people themselves are not convinced. The deeper interior of this story lies in the mindset and motivations of these young Koreans. Their refusal is not just about politics but about human priorities. Many of them see no justification for taking part in a distant war that has nothing to do with their own security or future. They want to focus on their families, their studies, their careers, and building a stable life rather than risking everything for a conflict whose reasons they do not believe in. This short yet essential glimpse into their interior world reflects a generational change. Unlike their elders, who were raised in a culture of obedience to the state, these young people are more globally aware, more connected to the outside world through technology, and more determined to make choices for themselves. Their stance reveals an emotional and practical rejection of war as a solution to political problems. The performance of Russia's strategy to recruit outside fighters, especially from North Korea, has therefore been far weaker than expected. Initially, Moscow appeared confident that by relying on allies and propaganda it could attract sufficient manpower to fill the gaps left by its own heavy losses. However, the reality on the ground has been disappointing. The lack of response from Korean youth has created logistical challenges, slowed down military operations, and dampened morale among those already fighting. It has also shown that the effectiveness of any such recruitment effort depends not on the words of leaders but on the willingness of the people themselves. The poor performance of this strategy illustrates the limitations of old-style political alliances in a world where individuals are becoming increasingly resistant to being used as pawns in distant conflicts. Safety has emerged as a central theme in this development. For many young Koreans, their own well-being and that of their loved ones comes before any call to arms from abroad. They see involvement in the war not as an honorable duty but as an unacceptable risk that could destroy their future. This focus on safety is not just personal, it reflects a growing awareness that peace and stability in their region are best preserved by avoiding entanglement in foreign conflicts. Their stance underscores a fundamental truth about modern security thinking. Real safety lies in protecting communities, fostering dialogue, and preventing wars rather than contributing to them. This shift in priorities also highlights the difference between the older generations of leaders, who still emphasize military solutions, and the younger generations, who prioritize human security. The unique selling point of this resistance is its symbolic power. It shows that alliances are no longer determined solely by governments but by the people who make up those nations. The refusal by Korean youth to be part of Russia's war effort sends a strong message that individual choice and collective conscience can outweigh political deals made by leaders. It reveals that young people across the globe are willing to stand up for peace, even in societies where dissent is often discouraged. This quiet but firm resistance is a reminder that real power lies in the consent of the governed and that leaders cannot take that consent for granted, especially in matters of war. While there is no financial price tag to be discussed in the usual sense, there is a significant political and strategic cost involved. For Russia, the expectation of receiving support from Korean fighters has been dashed, weakening its broader strategy and adding to the pressures it already faces in the prolonged conflict. For North Korea, this situation represents a loss of face as it reveals cracks in its supposed unity and challenges the authority of its leadership. The surprise of Kim Jong Un underscores how disconnected leaders can be from the sentiments of their younger citizens. The long-term price could be a gradual weakening of the Russia-North Korea alliance and a reassessment by both sides of what they can realistically expect from each other. For the young Koreans themselves, the price they have chosen to avoid is the loss of life and future opportunities in a war they never wanted to join. This entire episode points to a larger trend in global politics. In a world that is more interconnected and informed than ever before, people, especially the youth, are increasingly unwilling to be drawn into conflicts that they see as unjust or unnecessary. They have access to information, can communicate across borders, and can see for themselves the consequences of war. This access empowers them to make choices that challenge the agendas of their leaders. It also forces governments to rethink how they approach both foreign policy and domestic governance, as the loyalty of their people is no longer automatic. The conclusion of this story is both sobering and hopeful. Sobering, because it highlights the fragility of alliances built on political calculation rather than genuine shared interests. The fact that a single group of young people can disrupt the plans of powerful states shows how uncertain the future of such alliances can be. Hopeful, because it reveals that the desire for peace and the prioritization of life over conflict still run strong among the younger generation. This refusal to fight in a distant war suggests that future leaders will have to consider not just military strength but also the will of their people when planning foreign engagements. It is a reminder that in today's world, the power of ordinary individuals, especially the youth, can rival that of governments when it comes to shaping the course of history. In the end, the headline, "Putin Faces Shocking Blow, Young Koreans Reject Fighting for Russia, Kim Jong Un Stunned," is more than just breaking news. It is a symbol of change in the global order, a sign that the old ways of commanding blind loyalty are giving way to new realities where people demand a say in decisions that affect their lives. This moment could mark the beginning of a shift toward a future where the choices of ordinary citizens play a decisive role in preventing unnecessary wars. It also serves as a lesson for leaders everywhere that the strength of any alliance lies not in agreements signed at the top but in the genuine support of the people at its base.